Happy Tuesday, y'all. Hope your Tuesday's going good. Mine is productive. I like productive days. Just come out of the Sugar Shack, filled some orders. Thank you. Went to the post office. I had 2 boxes of goodies. And now we're in the kitchen because I have 2 preps for the freezer, as well as making a side for our supper tonight. Now, our supper is the leftover round steak, rice, and gravy from Sunday. And I'm going to make a vegetable side. Let's see what else. There's a host of things, so I'm just going to bring y'all along. But let's go back to the box. One box that I got in, which is my refill of Maxwell House Morning Boost. Y'all know I love that coffee. And then I had another gift box. Y'all. Well, first in that box was some candy corn for the boys. Yes, I believe it's Fall Festival flavor, and the other one was s'mores. They're going to love it. But then there was a treat for Lippy. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever seen anything like it. I'm getting them out of my drawer. I know I ain't never seen nothing like this. It's measuring cups. Aren't they pretty? They're fall colors. But I was like, oh, that's weird. And I did this. Who knew? Never seen anything like it. And what was so funny, because the first thing I recognized was 1/2. I said, 1/2 what? And then when I I said, that's a 1/2 cup. Y'all, they sit in the drawer. And y'all see me use my measuring cups. I don't keep them together. I don't keep measuring spoons together because I cannot stand the clanking. You know, clank, clank. But these just lay flat right here in my baking drawer. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I ever seen. Yeah, I guess I've been living under rocks. I don't know. But I ain't in no rock. I ain't under no rock now. I know what a pop-out measuring cup is. And we're using this today. Or I've used it already, but I'll show you what I used it on. So yeah, it's going to be a typical Lippy video. So crank it down with you some coffee. It may end up being long, so you may have to pause me and come back. I ain't going nowhere. I'm still going to be on there. So we're just going to spend half a day together. That means I got to condense this video so it's not like 5 hours long. I'm going to need that whole can of coffee. I'm just saying. And it's so good. But okay, the first thing we got to do is make some cornbread muffins to cook to go into the freezer. Because, guys, I like to do this in the muffin form because I can freeze them, flash freeze, but I only let them freeze like an hour, open-faced, meaning just on a sheet, and then I put them in a bag, and I put a piece of paper towel in that bag that holds the moisture and ice crystals off, and so when we want a piece of cornbread, depending on what we're eating, I can pull 1 muffin out each. I let it sit on the counter 30 minutes. You can either nuke it, or I like to just put mine in the oven, you know, and warm it. That's the way we prefer it. So we're going to try to get a dozen. Normally it's 8 to 10. It depends on how full I make my muffin. So sitting over here is my sprayed muffin tin. On the stove, I've got it preheated to 400 degrees. It's just going to be that simple. So let's rock this out and move on to, I think there's 2 more. I have to look at my list. I made a list of what I needed to accomplish today. And we're going to make it happen. So here goes the first one, because it's easy. Yes, I'm using a loud metal whisk. Bear with me. Okay, in this bowl, okay, there's 2 options. You can either do 1 cup of cornmeal mix, or, as I've got it, a half a cup of cornmeal, a half a cup of all-purpose flour, a pinch of salt, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay, and I'll leave this in the description. But if you don't have plain cornmeal, just use 1 cup of cornmeal mix and don't use the baking powder. Don't use this salt, okay? But we're gonna do it old-fashioned, cornmeal. So I'm gonna get these dry ingredients stirred around very well. And yes, I'm gonna save your ears and I'm gonna get the silicone whisk. I don't like this thing, but I love y'all, so we're gonna use it. Okay, to this, are y'all ready for it? All right, we're gonna start with, let's start with the eggs. I have 2 beaten eggs into the pot. Move that over here. We're gonna get this mixed. Somewhat. I know this sounds better, but I can't feel the bottom. 1/2 cup neutral oil, okay? This is vegetable. I like to call it neutral. Now, let's see if I can feel the bottom of this thing. Guys, I don't like this whisk. Oh, mercy me. See, it wants to clump. All right, that's all right. We're gonna rock with it. I say that. We ain't rocking with it. Sorry, guys. You see, I didn't turn the camera off. I got to let this thing go. Maybe it's because it's all like, it's seen its better days. Let's chunk this thing. We'll just use this spatula. Lord. Okay. This is about a 1/2 can of cream style corn. So that would be equivalent to about 3/4 cup, but it's a 1/2 can of cream style corn. Here we go. Everybody in the pool. And what I did with the rest of it is I put it in a freezer bag, wrote cream corn. So next month, I have it ready for another batch. Perfect. All right. Now we've got a 1/2 cup of sour cream. Now, guys, this isn't my recipe. I saw this floating around on the internet 2 years ago. Could have been 3 years ago. And I tweaked it just a hair to our desire. And I'm going to tell you what, it is phenomenal. Now, I'm going to go in with, if I had to measure, a good 1/2 cup, heaping 1/2 cup of diced onion. Now, you could add jalapenos if you wanted to, but we like it just with the onion. And it's just that simple. This is going to be delicious. All right, and you really want to kind of get it well mixed. I'm going to use a gravy ladle, and we're going to get these filled up. Now, make sure you grease your muffin tin. All right, to this last one, so my muffin tin doesn't burn, I'm going to put a little bit of water about halfway. Into the oven, 400 degrees, about 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. So just keep an eye on them. One down, a few more to go. Not of this, of some other good stuff. Okay, I got that part cleaned up. I had a choice between Boudin and pepper jack cheese egg rolls. They got to go in the freezer. That's Mr. Buddy's lunch. I've got to do rutabaga. This is for this evening. So I decided to do this because I have an iron skillet actually heating in the oven. So we're going to get the rutabaga going. And no, don't be giving me that old curled up nose going. I don't like that. I promise you, you will love this. But I'm going to do it 2 ways. Now, I wish I'd had 2, since I'm actually going to show y'all 2 different ways to prepare it. I'm just going to have small portions of each recipe. We're going to eat them both, but this will also give you some thoughts moving forward. You know, hey, I've got 2 ways to try it, in case, you know, you don't know if you like it or not if you've never tried it. So you can just purchase you one, make 2 small dishes, and then you can see if you like both, one or the other, or you just don't like it at all. But something tells me, if you try it either way, you're going to love it. So, whew, this thing is, well, it's not as hard as my head, but y'all, it's close. And it's got a wax seal, so yeah, it's a little tricky. But, oh, it is so stinking good. And if you want to know what a rutabaga is, it's crossed between a wild cabbage and a turnip. Basically, that's what it is. So, let's get this thing cut. That takes a while, but it's worth it. Now, I cook mine many ways. I do like to boil them if I have a heavy cornbread, not a sweet cornbread, and use the liquid, which we call pot liquor, as like a gravy. But I'm just gonna, and you see I'm cutting it as close to the end as I can get it. Oh, that's a beautiful one. Then I'm gonna go ahead and try and cut this side off. It's tough now, guys. There we go. I am happy with that. See, because I want it to be able to sit flat. Now, the way I do mine, let me get my glasses on. You do have to have a sharp knife. Now, some people use a potato peeler, but I found by taking my time, let me get my hair out of the way, and going down, I'm able to maintain as much of the root vegetable as I can. Now, you'll have to go in and trim it. But when we get done, see, I will trim this as well. Just patience. Just patience. And I've had them harder than this. That's where you got to take a meat cleaver. Okay, we've got the main peeled. So this is when I use a potato peeler. Don't cut your hand now. And I'm growing these. Now, if Mr. Buddy was home, this would be his job. Now, it'll roll from you, so be careful. And there's so many ways to achieve the dices, slices, or however you prepare them. But this is just an easier way for me. And I'm less likely to cut a finger off. Any white that I see on this root, I do try to get that off. Because that's where the bitter is. And you see, I'm not taking much off. But that's where I have found the bitter to be. Okay, we're going to go around the base of it. Now, here's the fun part. Let's see. I may have to get my large knife out, because I do want to cut it down the middle. Okay, we're just going to get a little bit of a blade on this knife. Are y'all dying yet? Okay, and the way I like to do it, if I can get my knife, I got to get my knife straight first. There we go. I'm just going to, and I'm not going to hit it hard, but I'm just going to tap, and that allows me to go further down. Aren't you glad I muted y'all's ears? Guys, this works. You just can't go crazy with it, but it works. And I'm telling you, it is so worth it. Now, I need to go ahead and get this cut. Let's see if it'll cut it. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Okay, we've got them all sliced. Now, I'm not going to bore you with it, but I'm going to show you the size pieces that I am going for. About like that. Okay, about a 1/2 inch, maybe an inch. But that's the size that I am going for. Okay, I've got them all diced up. So I want to split it up so I can share 2 recipes. I want to make sure I have plenty. Yeah, that ought to be plenty for the oven. Yeah, because I've got a small skillet. So you see, I'm going to divide it for you guys. Now I want to put just enough water to cover them. Okay, we have the water just covering them, and I'm gonna add, I'll measure it out, guys. 1, 2, about 3 tablespoons, okay? So, that pot is ready for the stove. And yes, I'll take you to the stove. The thing I wanna do is drizzle a little bit of olive oil. Just enough to where our seasoning will be able to stick, okay? Perfect. Now I've got a oily hand, so we're gonna do it like this. I'm not gonna put much salt, guys. I mean a pinch. We're gonna use some of my voodoo dust. This is 3 pepper blend with garlic and some other spices. And if you don't have my voodoo, simply use just some coarse black pepper and garlic powder, which I'm gonna add a little bit more garlic powder to this. You do not wanna add fresh garlic, it will burn. I'm good with that. I'm just gonna give it a toss. Okay, remember we have our muffins in the oven at 400 degrees. That's what we're gonna do the rutabagas in. Now this is an extremely hot skillet. You wanna do that because you wanna hear that sizzle, okay? You want to hear that sizzle. You wanna get them separated. Well, I picked out the perfect amount to reserve for this. Into the oven. Probably a good 20-25 minutes just till they're fork tender, but I'm going to be stirring mine periodically. Listen. Y'all hear that? In the oven. Now we're going to go to the stove to cook the stovetop ones. We're going to turn our eye to about a number 9. Okay, we want to bring this to a boil. And it doesn't take long. But once we get it to a boil, there is a key step. Y'all look at this. Now it's hot, but the muffins just come out. Took 28 minutes. All right, we're at that boil, and that's when I'm gonna add the salt. I do not add salt to water, especially using my cookware, till after the water boils. Then it won't pit your pots. Just a little pinch, guys. Now I'm going to turn my heat to about a 6. I still want to keep some of the boil, but I'm going to vent my pot because what we want to do is evaporate this water, okay? We want to reserve just a little bit at the bottom of the pot, okay? So make sure they're not sticking, and they're not. And that's all we're going to do at this stage. They cooking so good and they smelling so good. But right now, we got to stir our roasted rutabagas that's in the oven. So I figured we would check on them together. And they're sizzling. And it's hot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. You hair police, don't come for me, okay? Not today. Not today. What's the old saying? Not today, Satan. All right, I just flipped them. I'm going to show you how golden. You know, I could just drop the camera. Look, y'all. Can y'all even... Lippy and her videoing. Look. All I did was flip them over. I was thinking I need to add more oil, but I don't. Sometimes you may have to add. I'm going to add just a smidgen. Let me move y'all. I want y'all to see. Y'all can see right there. I'm talking about like a couple of drops. And then I'll get them stirred around. Oh, yeah. Okay. Back in the oven. Y'all, sometimes when I pull this hair up, it gives me a headache. So today, we rolling with it like a shaggy dog. You know what, though? This smelling so good. I cannot wait till these rutabagas are done because we need to eat lunch. That includes a muffin. Ooh, that's hot. That includes a muffin. And we got a sample. Then we're going to go to the Boudin and pepper jack cheese stuffed egg rolls. Well, they're not really stuffed. They're kind of rolled. Y'all know what I mean. But I done lost my paper, so I don't remember what else we were going to do. But whatever it is, I'm just going to tote y'all with me. Just tote. So, patience. It'll end eventually. I promise the video does end. While we wait for the rutabagas, I guess I'm going to go ahead and grate my pepper jack cheese. Y'all, this thing I've had a couple of years, and I love this grater. Now, you see I'm twisting it backwards. That's because I'm left-handed. So I always go backwards, and then I go forward, because really it's supposed to be on that side. Okay. So our cheese is done. And I love this thing because it's so easy to remove. This will get washed after I get every drop of cheese off. And that gets washed. These two pieces get wiped down. You know, I had someone ask me not too long ago, Miss Lippy, do you, I'm wiping this off, do you clean, you know, as you go for the video? Because everything's always put up. My answer to that was, and is today, I've always cleaned as I've cooked, whether the camera is on or not, because that way, when I'm through in the kitchen, everything's done. I'm not spending hours on end cleaning 100 pots. So I'm the person that keeps hot soapy water, and I may change this out 6 times, guys, while I'm cooking and everything else. But when I close the kitchen, I don't have stacks of dishes draining. So yes, I clean as I go, with or without a video. We're back at the stove. Can you see the water is starting to evaporate? That's what we want. Now, they are not tender, okay? But by the time the water gets to the level that we need, they will be tender. It's a good way to cook these because you're just bringing the water up even with the root vegetable. And once you see the amount of water left over, then you know that they're tender and ready to go. Now that our water has started to evaporate, there's still plenty of liquid in here. I did add a pinch of pepper And I've turned my stove eye down to a number 4, okay? Because I don't want it to completely evaporate before the rutabagas get tender. But they are getting there, okay? So now it's time to crank our heat down to a number 4. And this is when we start steaming them and getting them tender. Now that we got them simmering on the stove with the lid on, the roasted ones have about 5-10 minutes to go. We're at the 25-minute mark. Now it's time to do our Boudin pepper jack cheese egg rolls. And if I have any filling left over, I'm going to turn them into Boudin balls. So in this bowl, I have about 2-3 pounds of Boudin. Okay, so I'm going to drop it down. We're going to add our cheese. We got to rock these out because we got to get these cooking too. I'm going to add my swamp mix since I am not the one that mixed this Boudin. Now, this is a Savoy's brand, okay? But I do want to add a little bit of my seasoning. And I don't know if I'm going to use all this cheese or not. This was just a standard block. I'm probably going to end up using it all. Oh, yeah. There's no... I should have just saved me a bowl and not had to wash it. Okay, this is going to be messy, but the best tools to use is your hands. And I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in my hands because that's going to allow it not to be so sticky, okay? And I could have got a bigger bowl too, but y'all saw that I started off with this bowl with the rutabagas and I just kept washing and reusing it. Less dishes, but I should have went to a bigger bowl. So, it's just going to take me a little while to get it all mixed because you want it well and combined. Can you see there's only maybe 1/4 of a cup of liquid? So I'm going to turn it down to about a number 3. And we're going to add some sugar. This is just a house teaspoon. We're not talking much, okay? You don't want them overly sweet. Perfect. We're going to add another pat of butter. And that is it. Just that simple. And I'm going to finish letting them just cook down. The water will evaporate. That butter and that little bit of sugar will caramelize. Guys, it is out of this world. So this is where you get the sweet, the oven, you get the savory. Now, if I wanted to get the pot liquor, let me turn you this way. If I wanted to get the pot liquor, I would have put more water in there and I would have let them slow cook hour and a half on like a number 4. And it would have reduced down. The rutabagas would have got tender, but that would have given us a pot liquor, you know, to eat over cornbread. That's normally how, you know, we would eat them. But right now, I'm just going to let these candy up, kind of like a sweet potato would. Check on the oven, then we go back to the Boudin. We all over the kitchen today, y'all. And just like that, they are done. Let me show you what they look like. Now, you don't have to cook them as long as we do, but we like that little bit of char, okay? Y'all, I decided to eat some lunch. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't had lunch. So, before we go to the Boudin, I've got the savory roasted rutabaga, and then I got the stovetop. Whoa. So we're going to go to the table. Let me show you my muffin. Packed with flavor. Look at that. Oh my God. Y'all still hanging with me? I hope so. Roasted. Who doesn't love rutabagas? Man. Then a little piece of cornbread without butter. It's still delicious. Now, guys, this is Lippy's kind of lunch. I don't have to have meat. This is perfect. Now, this is going to be hot. Maybe not too hot. have some tea just in case. I take stovetop over oven every day. But I like the oven too. But I wanted to split it up to really give you 2 recipes that you can try if you've never ate them. Or if you have and you wasn't a fan, this will give you 2 options. But guys, that one on the stove. Now remember, it was just like a little teaspoon of sugar, not much. But it cuts the bitter, and make sure you peel that and get any white off. Because a lot of times people say, oh, it's so bitter, I don't like it. Because it's probably the white was still left on when you think it's the root, but really you got to get that next layer. Because there's like 3 layers or 4. Let's see, you have a wax, you have the skin. Well, you only have a wax in the store. Let me take that back. So let's say you had it in the garden. You got the skin, then you got the second layer, kind of like a rind, basically like a watermelon or a cantaloupe. Then you actually have the flesh. So think of it like that. So you got to get the peeling, the rind removed, and then you've got a sweet root vegetable. So I'm going to enjoy my lunch. Then we'll go over there and tackle these egg rolls. And if I have some left, we're going to go ahead and make Boudin balls. That's going to give 2 different lunches that Buddy can add to the rest of the meals that I make. But you see, guys, this is what I do. From my normal household chores to my business, to the chickens, to the garden, I'm always in the kitchen preparing Mr. Buddy's favorite things because he works so hard to provide for our little family. And it's a feel-good to me to see him walk in and see his next treat or his next lunch for work. That's where I draw my fulfillment from. So, all right, I hope you're enjoying your lunch, or hope you enjoyed your lunch. Give me 10 minutes. Ooh, they steaming. You see that I have too many and they won't fit this dish? You get you a little fork, and every now and then just go get you a little bite, and eventually you'll have it to where you can put the lid on. And nobody will ever know. So, you know, there's reasons why I do what I do. It's still quality control, right? Okay, now on to the egg rolls. And I've had them sitting out, so they're a little bit harder to work with, guys. Try to remember to keep them in the ice box. But once you get them all separated and started, see how that one tore? Yeah, don't do like Lippy. I totally forgot I had them sitting over here, or I'd have put them in the ice box. Okay, that one's fine. All right, nothing that a little water won't fix. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do it like this where the tear is. That way I can get the tear folded. All right, with your point looking at you, we're going to get a scoop of this Boudin with pepper jack cheese. Now, don't scrimp on the stuffing part, okay? But you don't want so much that it's just like pouring out. Oh, I missed a piece right there. All right, that looks good to me. Good and fat. Now I'm going to take this corner, and I like to mash mine. And then, y'all have seen me do this. I believe I've done videos on these. I'm not really sure. Or on egg rolls, should I say. All right, where that corner is, see why I wanted it to face me? I'll take a little bit of water and dampen the corner, because that's our glue. And we're just going to, and I know I like to have mine square. I know it's crazy, but, and there's our first egg roll. All the egg rolls are done. They're in the ice box. The oil is heating up on the stove, because remember, I like to cook my egg rolls, then I flash freeze them, then I put them over into a freezer bag. But I ended up with quite a bit of Boudin left. The Boudin and pepper jack cheese. So now we're going to make Boudin balls. I've just made a masa. I actually have a video I'll see if I can find it. I'll link the video in the description of my Boudin balls. But I'll bring you along while I'm getting these mixed up. Because once we get them battered, they have to flash freeze before they were to be fried anyway. And I like to flash freeze them so I can put them in a freezer bag. And when we want a snack, I pull them out and I fry them frozen. Because remember, everything's cooked but the outside. Now this has no milk, has no eggs. This is strictly about a cup of self-rising flour that I seasoned with my swamp mix. Now this is messy. You can make them any size that you want to. I'm just gonna make them about, I don't play golf, but I'm gonna assume that that's about the size of a golf ball. I don't know, y'all. I ended up with 7 Boudin balls. So, this is where the mess comes in. And I mean, it's a mess. And I let it just drip off. Now, some people use flour. Then they go to an egg wash. Then they go to breadcrumbs. Guys, I didn't grow up doing it like that. We just made glue. Like, you know, seasoned self-rising and some water. And not a lot of breading. And they get really crispy. I'm going to get my chopping block all cleaned up. I'm going to set these right here in the kitchen freezer. And then we're about to get those egg rolls going. I'm starting to smell, and I can tell that my oil is getting hot. Now, that's peanut oil I'm using. So if you have a peanut allergy, use like a neutral oil, a vegetable oil. You're not frying in olive oil now, y'all. You'll burn the oil before you crisp up your egg rolls. My oil is at 350, and I'm just going to do one for the sake of the video. We have our sweet corn muffins done, ready for the freezer. We have our rutabagas sitting there for supper tonight. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to finish frying up the egg rolls and get them flash froze and then into a Ziploc bag. And then in a few hours, I'm going to go ahead and cook the Boudin balls. There's only 7. They're not that big. And that will be a appetizer to supper, or if Mr. Buddy just wants a snack, because they're not that big. So I've got to get off my feet. It's been a full day. It's 2:15, and I got to go out to the greenhouse, check the garden. So still a lot left to do while daylight is still here. But thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today. To me, it's my blessing that you guys are always with me when I turn this camera on. And for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But as always, stay safe, stay well, and God bless. And I'll leave a couple of video links down in the description. Bye, y'all.